Hello world! In this video I want to speak about the channel that you're watching this video on, OpenSource-Odyssey. I want to talk about what motivates me in doing these videos and what you can expect going forward. First, let me introduce OpenSource-Odyssey. This is a content channel where we will explore open source software. This can range from smaller tutorials about certain pieces of software to bigger coding projects where we will write code ourselves to create other open source software. In short, content for you to gain a deeper understanding about technology, on how to master this technology and not become slave to the technology yourself. A little bit about me. You can call me Odysseus, as is fitting for an Odyssey. I'm very passionate about open source software, and important here is not only open source, but libre open source software. In short, software that puts the user's liberty first, so the user can adapt, change, copy, modify any of the software code to make it do whatever they want. Myself, I taught how to code a few years ago, so I think I was on this open source odyssey myself and still am, and I want to share my insights with you so maybe you have an easier time of it. And I was very inspired by the Cypherpunk ethos in creating this channel. If you don't know what Cypherpunk is, let's dive into the Cypherpunk Manifesto to learn more about what the Cypherpunks are and what they strive to achieve. As with any good ideology or ethos, there is a manifest. The Cypherpunks Manifesto was written by Eric Hughes on March 9th, 1993, or published on March 9th, and it goes into the motivations of the cypherpunks. So I want to give this a quick read and discuss what we learn from reading the text. Privacy is necessary for an open society in the electronic age. Privacy is not secrecy. A private matter is something one doesn't want the whole world to know, but a secret matter is something one doesn't want anybody to know. Privacy is the power to selectively reveal oneself to the world. If two parties have some sort of dealing, then each has a memory of their interaction. Each party can speak about their own memory of this. How could anyone prevent it? One could pass laws against it, but the freedom of speech, even more than privacy, is fundamental to an open society. We seek not to restrict any speech at all. If many parties speak together in the same forum, each can speak to all the others and aggregate together knowledge about individuals and other parties. The power of electronic communications has enabled such group speech, and it will not go away merely because we might want it to. So first up here in the Cypherpunk Manifesto, we learn about the difference between privacy and secrecy, namely that privacy means that we can select what we want to reveal to the world. Further, it goes on to explain that the reality of our world is such that once information is out there, we cannot bring it back. Once the toothpaste is out of the tube, we cannot get it back into the tube. And in order to have an open society, we really need this discourse of freedom of speech where we can exchange ideas. And the antidote to bad ideas is always more speech. So while we may want to rebel against reality and say, we shouldn't talk about this or talk about that, there's really no way to prevent it. And we need to, if we want to stay conform with reality, adapt to this reality. Since we desire privacy, we must ensure that each party to a transaction have knowledge only of that which is directly necessary for that transaction. Since any information can be spoken of, we must ensure that we reveal as little as possible. In most cases, personal identity is not salient. When I purchase a magazine at a store and hand cash to the clerk, there is no need to know who I am. When I ask my electronic mail provider to send and receive messages, my provider need not know to whom I am speaking or what I am saying or what others are saying to me. My provider only need know how to get the messages there and how much I owe them in fees. When my identity is revealed by the underlying mechanism of the transaction, I have no privacy. I cannot selectively reveal myself. I must always reveal myself. So building on the previous point that once information is out there, it's really out there, we need to come to grips with this fact. And we do this by revealing only the information that is truly necessary for any interaction to take place. The example given here is when you buy a magazine, all the vendor needs to know is, here is the cash for the magazine. They don't need to know your first name, your last name, where you live, who you're communicating with, so on and so forth. Furthermore, if through the transaction more information is divulged, you don't have privacy anymore. You must reveal yourself. And when we reflect on today's technology, it is really like this in most cases. When you use a service, you usually have to provide much more information than is truly necessary to use a certain service. The most stunning example of this could be the Know Your Customer procedures that is implemented by most modern crypto exchanges. There you have to basically tell the exchange everything about yourself, not only who you are and where you live, but also where you got the money from that you want to exchange there. And so there is really no privacy in the modern world. Therefore, privacy in an open society requires anonymous transaction systems. Until now, cash has been the primary such system. An anonymous transaction system is not a secret transaction system. An anonymous system empowers individuals to reveal their identity when desired and only when desired. This is the essence of privacy. So compare the modern banking system to something like Monero. Monero is a cryptocurrency very similar to Bitcoin that has privacy built into the protocol where the spender, receiver, and the amount of a transaction is hidden with cryptography. And when you compare this to the banking system, you really have a lot of information that gets leaked in the banking system. Where you live, who you transact with, all of this is knowledge that the bank has and that governments can subpoena from the bank. So if we follow the logic of this text so far, then the banking system as we have it today is really not compatible with privacy and an open society. Let's continue reading. Privacy in an open society also requires cryptography. If I say something, I want it heard only by those for whom I intended. If the content of my speech is available to the world, I have no privacy. To encrypt is to indicate the desire for privacy, and to encrypt with weak cryptography is to indicate not too much desire for privacy. Furthermore, to reveal one's identity with assurance when the default is anonymity requires the cryptographic signature. So maybe you haven't thought about privacy in your life too much now, but if you go to the bathroom, you usually close the door because privacy is nice to have. And maybe when you want to make a joke with a friend, you don't want your employer or your customers to know about that joke. So for this, we can use cryptography to encrypt messages so only our desired receiver can actually make sense of the message. We cannot expect governments, corporations, or other large faceless organizations to grant us privacy out of their beneficence. It is to their advantage to speak of us, and we should expect that they will speak. To try to prevent their speech is to fight against the realities of information. Information does not just want to be free, it longs to be free. Information expands to fill the available storage space. Information is rumor's younger, stronger cousin. Information is fleeter of foot, has more eyes, knows more, and understands less than rumor. So think about the business model for the big tech companies. Usually they offer some product for free, and maybe you've heard this before. If something is for free, then usually you're the product. So Facebook, Meta, or Google, Amazon, they make their money of knowing as much about you as possible so they can sell your information to advertisers who then try to sell you things. And yeah, like it says here in this text written in 1993, it is to their advantage to use your information, to speak of you. And if you don't take the precautionary steps, for example, by encrypting your information will long to be free. It will become public. And this is really something that cannot be undone. Once it is public, you cannot make the toothpaste go back into its tube. We must defend our own privacy if we expect to have any. We must come together and create systems which allow anonymous transactions to take place. People have been defending their own privacy for centuries with whispers, darkness, envelopes, closed doors, secret handshakes, and couriers. The technologies of the past did not allow for strong privacy, but the electronic technologies do. So again, this was written in 1993. What was used in the past to preserve privacy is, for example, an envelope with a seal, where the sender is in possession of a seal ring, for example. Then they melt some wax and they stamp their seal into the envelope. And while this doesn't give really strong privacy, at least it gives some indicator as to whether somebody has read the message. Another example is the closed door. Usually when you leave your house, you lock the door. This is also a measure for privacy. But now with the electronic age, we have much stronger locking mechanisms, namely cryptography. Mechanisms that cannot be undone, no matter how strong you are or how many resources you have. And the Cypherpunk message is that you, as the individual, have to defend your own privacy. If you don't do it, nobody else will. We, the Cypherpunks, are dedicated to building anonymous systems. We are defending our privacy with cryptography, with anonymous mail forwarding systems, with digital signatures, and with electronic money. Notice this was written way before the invention of cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin, where there is no central authority that holds all of the ropes that can lock people out of the system. Nevertheless, Eric Hughes was visionary enough to understand what the technologies that was also available in the 90s will eventually lead to. Cypherpunks write code. We know that someone has to write software to defend privacy, and since we can't get privacy unless we all do, we're going to write it. We publish our code so that our fellow cypherpunks may practice and play with it. Our code is free for all to use, worldwide. We don't much care if you don't approve of the software we write. We know that software can't be destroyed and that a widely dispersed system can't be shut down. So nowadays with code is speech, it is really hard to kill these anti-fragile systems. Systems like Bitcoin, like Monero, like Linux. And what Eric writes here, that other cypherpunks may practice and play with the code, is also the goal of my channel here. I also want to write code that you can play with, can practice with, and that you can adapt to your own needs and learn from my experience. Cypherpunks deplore regulations on cryptography, for encryption is fundamentally a private act. The act of encryption, in fact, removes information from the public realm. Even laws against cryptography reach only so far as a nation's border and the arm of its violence. Cryptography will ineluctably spread over the whole globe, and with the anonymous transaction systems that it makes possible. Again, written in 1993. Back then, the internet was not protected by HTTPS, which is the protocol that is securing the web traffic that you have currently. So your web traffic is encrypted from the source where you watch this video to your device. And anybody who reads the communications cannot make sense of it. So it has really come true that cryptography is spreading throughout the globe. And as time continues, the spread of cryptography will also continue. For privacy to be widespread, it must be part of a social contract. People must come together, deploy these systems for the common good. Privacy only extends so far as the cooperation of one's fellows in society. We, the cypherpunk, seek your questions and your concerns, and hope we may engage you so that we do not deceive ourselves. We will not, however, be moved out of our course because some may disagree with our goals. In other words, the goals of the cypherpunks can be put into reality without asking for permission. And we don't ask for permission. We just write the technology and hope that others may follow in our footsteps to use it. So this is also the reason for my next coding project that I will come back to in a second here. The cypherpunks are actively engaged in making the network safer for privacy. Let us proceed together apace. Onward. So this is the Cypherpunk Manifesto. You can give it another read here at the Satoshi Nakamoto Institute. I will also put a link to it in the show notes for this video. And it really motivates my doing in creating these videos for the channel. I want to spread the knowledge on how to bring about a better life for yourself with the use of technology. So my videos are targeted to really anybody who is interested in learning about technology, especially Monero, the peer-to-peer digital cash that Bitcoin wanted to be, but cannot achieve due to its transparency on the blockchain, to Linux enthusiasts who like to tinker with their system and really be in control of their operating system, and to web developers, because I believe that the web, the internet, is the platform the easiest to reach a lot of people. And I believe creating websites is a really powerful tool that allows the spread of information much faster than any printing press could ever dream of. Especially if you're an upcoming coder yourself, or at least interested in learning how to code. In my next videos, I will do a little code with me. So I will start a new project and teach you the best practices of creating a website, making it fast, reliable, and most of all, secure and private. So arise, cypherpunks. Cypherpunks write code, and writing code is really not that hard. Once you get the grasp of it, it doesn't matter which language you learn. It only matters that you are in control of the technology that you use every day. And that technology preserves your privacy. That it only leaks the information that you selected to leak. And with this, we can create amazing projects without asking anybody for permission to do so. The open source world is such that once the information is out there, anybody can use it. And we are standing now in the year 2025 on the shoulders of giants, of people that have invented amazing things before us and that we can use as building blocks for our own projects. So join me on this odyssey through the open source sea. In the next couple of videos, I want to start with the first project, which will be the coding of our new website. Currently, OpenSource-Odyssey.net is a very simple, statically generated block with Hugo, but I want to make this into a more fully fledged website with an admin portal where I can create articles, update them, link my videos that I created, and so on and so forth. So if that sounds interesting, hit the subscribe button, maybe leave me a comment into what other things you may be interested regarding to open source software, and I see you in the next video. Onward.